Westworld is back for a fourth season, unspooling a premiere meant to catch us up on four major characters and where they've all ended up 7 years after the season 3 premiere ended in widespread riots and chaos. Westworld is now a few gas stations removed from its former buzzed about glory. The Auguries, the season's first episode, provides a strong but straightforward setup for the bigger drama to come, but Westworld is keeping its cards close to its chest as usual. There is appropriate action and mystery, as well as questions that won't be resolved right away, but The Auguries also stumbles at times due to the presence of a few cliches related to retired gunfighters. It's time for 8 more weeks of head-scratching, and I'll be right there with you to make sense of it all. Let's dive into the season 4 premiere, shall we? The Auguries opens with William attempting to acquire some land, the purpose of which is unclear. My eyes start to glaze over when he and a businessman start using phrases like fungible. William soon outlines his goals. He wants something that was taken from him 8 years ago. He's willing to buy the entire darn plot, though, since he doesn't want it disrupted. When the businessman tells him it's not for sale, he delivers this hell of a one-liner: "This is America, everything's for sale." Despite William's warnings, the man declines, and when he gets home, he discovers a swarm of buzzing flies in his walk-in closet. I believe I've watched this movie before, and I don't believe he'll enjoy the ending. He appears to be acting without his will as he appears to wake up in a fog, makes his way to the office, and stabs his coworkers to death. He subsequently encounters William and presents him with the thinnest iPad in the world, which likely contains the item William was seeking. When asked if his job was finished, William replied that it was, allowing him to relax. As the man walked away, he slit his own throat. The first 10 minutes were just that. After the credits roll, we see Evan Rachel Wood waking up in bed, looking uncannily like the sweet old Dolores she initially introduced us to in season 1. She's Christina instead of Dolores, who Wood recently described as a lonely nerdy kind of writer that's just trying to make it in the big city. After getting ready for the day, her roommate asks for advice on whether to wear white or black shoes to an event they have later. Christina's roommate tells her to choose a side, even though she thinks either pair would look wonderful. She briefly gestures toward the white pair. That looks to be a throwback, a foreshadowing, or both. We learn that Christina works for Olympiad Entertainment, a video game company, where she writes storylines for background characters. Christina appears to only work and lounge around at home. She's in trouble though, since every tale pitch she submits is too sweet. Her employer queries where the sex and violence are. Maybe she had too much of that in a previous life. Additionally, she keeps receiving spam calls from an unidentified male voice pleading with her to stop playing his game with her. It is destroying his life. Christina doesn't seem to understand what he's talking about. Cut to Maeve sitting in a cabin blanketed with snow and contemplating. She breaks not only her radio, but also the entire mountain town's power, since she is experiencing flashbacks that show her daughter Caleb bleeding out and widespread destruction. Speaking of Caleb, there he is toiling away at the top of a building. We hear that every robot who worked beside him in construction has been turned into scrap metal. As he climbs high above the skyscraper, it appears like maybe Caleb is beginning to agree with his coworker who doubts that the riots brought about any real change. Just watching him sit there makes my legs go numb. We also discover that he is married and that his 7-year-old daughter's favorite activity is to shoot cans in the backyard. It's unknown whether Caleb's PTSD stems from his time in the military or the events of season 3. He hears a noise outside as he is tucking his daughter into bed, and he immediately runs for his gun. This alarms his wife, who is concerned that he is having an effect on their daughter, Frankie, who she discovered keeping a toy gun under her pillow. It turns out that Maeve's little power loss generated a ruckus, and some nasty guys suddenly appear at her door. Although I must admit that I was unprepared to witness a severed head being thrown in the sink, she is still as badass as ever and brutally murders them all. She cuts the leader's head open, which is really disgusting, and then connects to his memory. Who does she notice inside? William. Undoubtedly, he sent the thugs. Later, Christina runs into the enigmatic caller. Peter, who she meets as she returns from a blind date, stops her in front of her apartment. Peter is adamant that Christina is destroying many people's lives, including his own. He asks, "Why are you doing this to us?" before grabbing a knife and attacking her. Before a strange man pulls him off her and vanishes into the darkness, he misses her throat but slices her forearm. The following morning, Christina receives another call from Peter while still in that routine cycle. He seemed to think that because he appears in one of her computer games, the storylines she develops for them are actually happening. He asks her to recall how she came up with his conclusion. And as soon as she understands what's going on, she glances up to watch him leap off a building. His final words were, "Is this up to me, or did you write this too?" It appears that Caleb was correct to pull out his rifle earlier. When Frankie goes outside to get Bear, her stuffed animal, that she unintentionally dropped out the window, she encounters a very unsettling man who requests to speak with her father. Caleb notices what is happening when he steps outside to empty the trash and dives to save Frankie just as the shooter opens fire. But before the intruder can hurt them, Maeve thrusts a sword straight through him. She says, "Hello, sweetheart," to Caleb. She says William sent those guys to pursue them. Caleb sobs as he explains to his wife that he must depart to keep them safe. So we at least know how Caleb and Maeve are starting off the season. They're heading to California to intercept William's men as they hunt their next victim. Christina is mulling about a fresh pitch with a joyful ending as we come to a close on her balcony. As an orchestral Lana Del Rey song is playing, she reminds herself that no one wants to hear that kind of story. The picture pans to the dim pavement as she enters again, and a shadowy figure emerges into the light. A mysterious person that resembles the man who shielded her from Peter's knife. I believe we can all identify this person. I think we can all guess who this is. Yep, it's Teddy. Or at least, James Marsden. Who knows who he's playing in this new season 4 game?